Greetings from the Corporate Interface Cell and a very warm welcome to Business Edge 5.0, 6 industries, 1 podcast, presented by Park Avenue. The Corporate Interface Cell is the official business club at an MIMS ASM SOC that bridges the gap between the students and the corporate world. I, Dhyana Sanghvi, bring to you an episode on one of the most dynamic and competitive industries of the corporate world, the telecom industry. Today, we are honored to have with us an esteemed guest, Mr. Siddhartha Mukherjee, Vice President of Marketing at Vodafone Idea. During his career span of over a decade, he has been associated with companies and organizations like Jio and Rajasthan Royals. Mr. Mukherjee is an expert with performance marketing, successful go-to-market strategies, and product development. Join us as we delve into Mr. Mukherjee's professional journey, the challenges, opportunities, and his insights on the media and marketing sector. It truly is an honor having you here today, sir.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Let us begin with our first segment, shall we?
Absolutely.
To start with, we would like to learn more about your role as a Vice President of Marketing at Vodafone Idea and about your transition to this from your previous roles at Jio and Rajasthan Royals.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm currently, as you mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Vodafone Idea, and essentially the EA to the Chief Marketing Officer at Vodafone Idea. So the Chief Marketing Officer at Vodafone Idea, my esteemed boss, he's basically responsible for revenue and all things marketing within Vodafone Idea. So that includes brand, that includes our prepaid and postpaid business, all the products and the products that you see in the market, usually the prepaid products and postpaid products, the plans that you see. We are the team that makes those products. And then all the communication that goes out onto the market, our team is responsible for that. So my job in this role is looking out at greenfield opportunities of projects, or let's say passion projects for my boss in a way, or my chief marketing officer in a way. That includes visionary projects like 5G rollout or 5G product projects. It can be like, how do we tap into a new market? How do you get into new business? How do you, let's say, tap into a new segment like youth? Or it can be like my daily operational activities. So the business that we have to manage every day, it's a 40,000 plus crore business annually, right? So I have an oversight on the different business functions and operational activities from day to day. On your second part of the question on transitioning from Jio Rajasthan Royals, in Jio I was essentially part of the 5G launch team. So I initially created at the time 5G wasn't in India, or it was also nascent across the world. So I built a roadmap for what 5G should be sounding like, what should consumers be talking about 5G, how to position it right, what kind of experiences will people get when 5G is launched, how do you brand it, what kind of use cases will people see in 5G, all that I was part of in Jio. Rajasthan also had a short stint. I was driven more by curiosity to understand what is happening in the IPL world, and I felt like IPL is one of the biggest marketing properties in India. So as a marketeer, I should have an experience there. But I didn't have a very happy stint in Rajasthan Royals, so we're happy to talk about it later, yeah.
Talking about how you said about you working on 5G, how do you see 5G marketing playing a pivotal role in Vodafone Idea's growth strategy, and what specific approaches is the company taking to leverage this technology to enhance consumer engagement and market presence?
Right, so it's a very tricky question in a way that 5G, I mean, I have been part of the 5G rollout as I mentioned in Jio, and 5G technology, the way it stands in Jio is called standalone 5G technology, which is basically like your radio interface. So it's basically the phone talks to the radio, and the radio then talks to a backend core, and then the core then again routes it back to the communication network that you're going to basically addressing to, right? 5G in Jio as a standalone network, which means the radio and the core are both on 5G, and that has a very significant, or it's a disproportionate advantage when it comes to what 5G can offer. So it's a lot of speed, a lot of capacity, a lot of bandwidth that you can offer. And Jio was a pioneer in that sense that it was the first one in the world to basically have a standalone technology in 5G. And that's why the kind of speeds you experience in Jio is much higher. Now, Airtel, if you know, and Vodafone Idea also, tomorrow when it launches, will be launching on a non-standalone network, which means the radio is 5G, but the backend core is still 4G. So while you will have some experience of improved speeds, but it will have some legacy, let's say, capacity issues that a 4G has, right? But having said that, in both scenarios, beyond the point, users or customers can't understand or let's say truly appreciate the a different experience with 5G. In a way, why I say that because let's say you are watching a video or watching or even playing a game or whatever daily activities are, your needs are more or less met with 4G. The speeds, whatever the 5G offers, there isn't enough use cases still that demand that kind of bandwidth or speed, right? So whatever you need to do, if you have let's say if you have a good coverage and if you have good stable network even in 4G, you can still do what you want to do in your life with 4G. Having said that, 5G has been in India for about 2 years now. Both Jio and Airtel have launched 5G, and with 5G, the coverage also has been well done by these two operators. So people more or less have now experienced 5G, although it's now a function of how many devices are on 5G in the market. So if you don't have a 5G phone, you can't experience 5G. But as of late, about 70% of devices going into the market are now 5G. So over a period of time, what you will see is that people more or less will transition from being a 4G to a 5G. But will people actually want to have 5G with them or pay for 5G? Example, Jio and Airtel have recently moved their tariffs, right? So earlier, 5G was available in a prepaid plan on 239, which is the entry level tariff for data plans. But now they've moved that tariff to 349 for Jio and 379 for Airtel, right? And what you will now see is not a lot of users are willing to pay for that increased tariff, right? And why do you say so? What I initially said also that people are not actively demanding 5G. People who can afford to, yes, obviously that they are doing, but bulk of the market is not willing to pay for 5G. So having said that, we have been late to the market in terms of bringing 5G in. So when we do bring in 5G within the next few months odd, 5G now is become a hygiene. So if you don't have 5G, you will have a lot of attrition. You'll have a lot of customers losing out because 5G now has become a badge value. It's like a premium of sorts. Like if I have 5G, like when I can talk about okay, I have 5G, but is it a little value add to you? Not yet, probably. But having said that, part of my I would say ambition is to create use cases or applications that will demand 5G tomorrow, right? That was my endeavor in Jio as well, and in Vodafone Idea also. That's my endeavor to like now show our customers what are some of the things that they couldn't experience in 4G, and now they'll absolutely need 5G for that. Recently we concluded the India Mobile Congress 2024, in which our company presented a few use cases that especially demand 5G, and I was part of the, basically pivotal to bring those to vision. One was like virtual reality at scale, right? Today you experience content in 2D, like you have your videos, right? But can you imagine a 3D content world where it surrounds you? You can move around that content, or you can interact with it much better. Those kind of content require 8K resolution, high bandwidth, right? But not many people have experienced 5G or let's say in 8K bandwidth videos or 3D virtual reality because they come in headsets, and the headsets are very expensive. People haven't experienced that. But what I showcased was if you go in a dome of sorts, like it's a 360-degree dome, I can have many people experiencing that content, and then people will understand what virtual reality can offer. And then if I bring down the cost of devices, etc., and if we bring more such content available, maybe a lot of people will then want, okay, I also want virtual reality, I also want 3D content. Then that will spur demand and start creating a innate need for, okay, then I need high bandwidth as well. So then I will need 5G. Or for example, gaming. Gaming is a very niche subject today, or let's say not many people are into gaming. I mean, in your college or in a student community, yes, especially I think gaming may be a rage. Maybe a lot of people are playing games. But overall, if you look at the Indian market, may not be a lot of people, right? So unless those kind of use cases become more popular, you will not have enough demand for 5G coming. So part of our mandate, part of the telecom industry, part of the content production industry will be responsible for creating such needs that bank on new technologies as they come in. And when we do come in as well, I mean, I would want to go in a two ways. One is that while I'll be positioning some of these future-facing use cases that will, or applications that people will start demanding 5G for. B, I'll also put narrative that is a little different from the two other companies. In a way, I'll try to position use cases, applications that you and I today also can use. Right? I mean, put some thinking on it. I'll not reveal that today, but I'll put probably use cases that it will not alienate people from 5G. For example, if I tell somebody, okay, 5G is for gaming, or 5G is for virtual reality, somebody might say, okay, it's not for me. Right? And that may alienate that customer from 5G. I said, I won't want to pay for 5G because I don't want to play games, I don't need 5G. So I will want to position things in a way that people are willing to accept it, people are willing to pay for it.
I rightly agree with your point of view on 5G, sir. Up next, during our research, we came to know that you have an ISB background, which is known for producing strategic thinkers. What are some of the key lessons you learned during your MBA that have been most valuable in navigating the challenges in the corporate world?
Right. I think this is I would say, the key skill for success in corporate. I mean, I personally feel, okay, maybe I've been known to have a very strategic mindset, which is why I have been in the kind of projects that I have been. I don't know how I got it. Maybe through the years. The way I have thought about it is, I've always taken things in a very learning manner. I mean, I've built my stints over time, and I've not rushed into anything. I've always felt when I've been getting into a job, learn things, learn how to do this well. Then when you learn something very well, then you can start thinking about how to do this better. That's one part of the let's say the career progression that I've had. B, if you talk about ISB, yes. In ISB, two things. A, the course was built in a way that everything was case based, so it allows you to think from real life examples. Right? Every class we were supposed to have the theories kind of read by ourselves at home, and then come to class prepared with a case. And in the ISB cohort, the way it was, everybody's experienced. Everybody had come from different backgrounds. Somebody was from the army. Somebody like me was from the aerospace industry. Somebody was from the marketing world. Somebody was from the finance world. Somebody might have been from the fashion world. So, from theoretical discussions in a usual college to what you actually experience in business school, is that in a class like that, is that business is not very theoretical. Business is very practical, right? And the way I would do business, maybe you wouldn't do the business the same way. Even the same business, for example, you and I both sell shoes, but you and I may not have the same strategy to sell shoes, right? So in ISB, when we discuss cases, the way I would discuss, let's say I would approach a case, for example, a marketer maybe, let's say I wasn't a marketer then, a seasoned marketer would probably approach it very differently. An army man would probably approach it very differently. Let's say somebody coming from the government would approach it very differently. So what it gives is a perspective of how different people are thinking about the same problem. And when you have different people thinking about the same problem, in the real world also it happens the same way. The way, like, say, my management will think, maybe the Airtel management won't think the same way. Maybe the Jio's management won't think the same way. But it gives a prediction of what they may think. So you can basically then think about what are some of the counters that can come if you do a certain strategy. Second is, in terms of larger scenarios, like if you were to do things in a certain way, what would consumers react to it? How would consumers take it? Whom am I addressing it to? Everything that you should be doing in a corporate world tomorrow, when you go to a corporate world, in the management world, I would say you should look at it in a very larger sense. That when you do something, look at which market you're entering to. Is that an attractive market? Is it a growing market? Is it a segment that you're targeting? Is it a large enough segment? Is it a good segment to enter into, right? Then in terms of competition, how is competition placed in that segment, right? Is it a very competitive scenario? It's a less competitive scenario. What is the long-term horizon of that market, or whatever the game you're trying to enter into? So when you have these kind of inbuilt in you over time, then you can, anytime you face a business problem, you will be able to see through these steps. That what am I entering to? Is there a good opportunity there? Is it a large enough opportunity? So all businesses today, what they want? They want growth, right? So the way to get growth is either you enter in an industry that is very fast moving industry, very high growth there, or it's like very untapped industry that you can become a pioneer and make it grow very well, or you can disrupt that industry. So, uh, or let's say you can, if the or let's say stealing share, which is a very difficult way to do it, right? So either of these approaches, you have to basically then filter out and make an equation in your head that okay, it makes sense, doesn't make sense, and those are the kind of mindsets if you like cultivate over time, you'll be able to think the way you're thinking about the more broad strategic mindset.
Nishu, sir. It's really insightful to know about that. Coming up, I'm sure as a marketing expert, you must have seen and worked on a fair share of campaigns throughout your career. Could you share with us your favorite ad campaign till date and what set it apart?
There are actually two examples. One, I would definitely say Fevicol. Those Fevicol examples are very, very, addressed at the audience they want to target. For example, carpenters or somebody who's working on very handsy on the stools, right? But the way they show it, it absolutely picks up. For example, all the Fevicol ad campaigns, it don't picks up just like that. You don't have to explain. There will not be too many words spoken, but you will explain and give it bang on, right? So definitely, like they are the best campaigns that to me. Second, I would say, in Fevicol also you can one is the one where there's a woman hanging from the bridge and one TV or the Fevicol being kept on top and one that doesn't have and the lady falls from the hero's hand, right? And then you have one where the chickens are eating from a Fevicol bucket, and the chickens are eating from Fevicol buckets. The eggs cannot be broken. So very very funny examples, but the way they do it. And then one more example, one more ad I recall where the a rickety a bus is going through a rickety road in the desert, and it's like filled to the brim and it's rocking and everything, but nobody's falling from the bus because as the bus goes, you can see there's Fevicol written on the back. Right. The second example I will quote is, I don't know if you have seen this or not, but this is a foreign example. I think not BMW. I think Mercedes came with this, and I'm not recalling. Mercedes came with, let's say, uh, um, a chicken, and it held the chicken in his hand like that, and it says, "Okay, I can move it around, but the chicken's head is not moving, right? It's very stable." So it shows how comfortable the car is, right? And BMW responded to it, saying that what you can do whatever then, but then uh, I have cat-like reflexes, so I'll be like having a very fast motion to it. And then while they were doing all of that, Jaguar came to the party and said, "Okay, I have this chicken and I'm moving it around, but suddenly Jaguar comes and eats it." So each of them responded to the same campaign, right? You can look it up on YouTube. It's very funny, but I think you're permitted to do that in outside India. I mean, you can actually call out names and actually like have campaigns talking to this. But I think a very intelligent campaign that each talks about the functionality. I mean, BMW is known for comfort and the overall luxury of it. Mercedes is known for comfort. BMW is known for like a very it's called the ultimate driving machine, right? So they're the same concept they took and they extended it to the driving machine, and then Jaguar, which is a challenger brand, came in and broke both. So from marketing standpoint, you think innovatively, you can actually challenge and create new things that impact and sets in the minds of consumers. So I've seen this ad so many years ago, but still remember. And those are things that you want to create as a marketer, because in marketer, the objective is to create stickiness and create the recall for the brand. So when you create things like that, you and I will remember every time. So now I'm going for a purchase, it will hit my mind, and that's where I'll make the decision to buy you. That's what the marketer's job is.
Having said that about thinking innovatively and about ad campaigns, what do you think is the biggest mistake brands make while trying to connect millennials with Gen Zs?
Very tricky question in that, and I'm not sure that I will give it the best answer, but I'll try. Gen Zs, if I understood right, they're very fickle these days. Uh, Traditional brands, like for example, that probably my mom and dad would have bought into, had loyalties. So my mom would probably have the same detergent that she would buy for years. My father, for example, will probably have the same car brand in mind for years. But Gen Zs don't have loyalties in that way, is if I understand correctly. They are willing to try out multiple brands as they create value. They're very value sensitive as well. They're also very, like I would say, product sensitive. They want to see what meets their needs right. So they're not very brand loyal as such. I may be, let's say, trying one brand today, but I may be willing to try out one more brand. For example, especially in skincare space, you can see so many D2C brands have come up today, and the HULs of the world and the PNGs of the world no longer having a ho- complete hold of the market. So many, like a Bombay shaving company is there, a Wow skincare is there. So many challenger brands have come up because Gen Zs are willing to give them a try, right? So that is changing the traditional mindsets of companies and marketeers, where you cannot just hold people to a certain brand or keep them loyal always unless you keep innovating, unless you keep showing them value, and they're innovating faster than some of the other bigger brands are doing, right? And that is drawing Gen Zs. And not only for the brands that they're, or the products that they're bringing in, also from the way they're reaching out to the consumers, the channels they're employing to. They're going to channels that the Gen Zs are being there. For example, if you are going to campaign on the TV, for example, or let's say in Facebook or Instagram, maybe some Gen Z brands are going to a Snapchat, or they're going to, let's say, some other place where Gen Zs are there. Like, so the right channel in which you reach out to them, the right messaging you put to them, the product that you bring them with, the new things that you bring to the product, the way you must package the product, those all click. And again, we're not very loyal to those brands anymore. Like, I may go with one brand today, and I'll go with some more brand next month, depending on how they come to me that month. So that's a challenge that marketers face today, and Gen Zs are challenging us to think that way.
That's a wonderful intake, sir. Coming next, how do you see the marketing industry evolving in the next 5 years? What skills do you think the future marketeers must have to excel in the marketing domain?
Good question. I think there are two parts of this. A, the fundamental things wouldn't change, and the fundamental things in marketing is the four P's. You must know what should your product, what should be your right price, what should be the place in which you go to, and how do you promote that, right? That would never change. So no matter you are today, you are like 30 years back, or you're 30 years tomorrow, that shouldn't change. So as a marketer, you should always have a very good handle on those things. Whatever product you're bringing to the market, whom am I addressing it to? How will I price it? Because it's a breakaway pricing, it's a competitive pricing. I'm challenging somebody, I'm undercutting somebody, or I'm skimming the market, or whatever. You need to just think about it straight, that why are you going to do it. Then how do you promote it? The audience that I'm talking to, am I messaging them right? For example, just talk about Gen Zs, right? If I'm messaging, for example, the way I write a WhatsApp message to you, it can be very trendy of way of writing it. For example, but if I write the same thing to my mom, she will be like, "Oh my God, can brands even write that to me?" Right? The very different ways of reaching out to very different people, right? The way I would probably put Father's Day campaign to my father would not be the same that I actually position it to my, let's say, the audience will bring the gift to my father, right? Um, in that way, you have to basically build the messaging right. So fundamentally, if you have the knowledge of 4Ps correct, but second is leveraging the modern age tools to actually address the next part of it, is that how you go to these people. So there will be AI tools available that will shape tomorrow. So example, how fast can I go to a consumer with a certain campaign? And some campaigns are tactical, some campaigns are strategic, right? For example, you may have a very strategic campaign going on a TV or something before the IPL. That's a very larger campaign. But once they're done with it, how do I go then basically keep hammering the same message over time? Can Gen AI tools help me create content or narratives very quickly that I can keep positioning as moment marketing things? Second is so that's one part of it. Second is that in terms of the targeting piece, can, let's say, data science or artificial intelligence or machine learning help me pick out the right audience for that targeting, right? And a traditional marketer, for example, 20 years ago may not be using those tools, but 5 years down the road, that will be absolutely necessity. Even today, it's not almost necessity that you must be able to filter out the right audience that you need to go to. And why this will be more important, because more and more companies will go in the D2C route, right? You may not be completely a offline distributor, trade-driven company anymore. It will be all D2C, and more when you go D2C, it will be online. It will be like data-based. So in your database, you should have data targeting tools. So data science, artificial intelligence will be very critical to that. So marketers of tomorrow, A, to sum it up, A, will have fundamental knowledge that will be required. B, you should have knowledge of new tools like GenAI and everything that helps you create things faster, message it right, package it right, etc. And third is you should know whom to target. And for that, you'll need a data science thinking, or that's a data science capabilities, or know what data science can do for you, so that you can leverage that effectively and reach your audience.
That was a wonderful intake, sir. Um, how do you cultivate a mindset of motivation filled with resilience and compatibility, particularly when faced with setbacks or challenges in your marketing initiative?
Good question. You never have success in one go, right? Now, when you're starting out new, small successes will give you good encouragement. But when you're starting out in your careers, even though small successes will require a lot of hard work to be put in, also learnings to be built in, and those learnings don't come easy. You'll experiment, you may fail, and then you will learn from it and rewire yourself, and then come back and do something else, and then you probably have some success, and then you start working on a methodology that helps you kind of build that process, for example, right? So you know what will work, and build on that process to go on a successful, let's say, roadmap. So in a way, uh, when you're starting out new, again, you won't have managers giving you responsibilities upfront that you will be able to experiment directly. But the more you bring in ideas or creative thought processes that the manager will be willing to, let's say, let you have a go at or give you a try at, and then when it's part of a larger plan, that okay, you say, okay, I have a larger plan my manager brought out too, but I then contributed this part of it, and that was successful, right? And see, that was my idea. I got success from it. So then you build on that, and success builds success in my mind. So once you have one success and you know that was your thought, you will be motivated to do better next time. And success is not like a finite destination. You have to keep going on. Like there's continuous peaks to be had. So there's like no Mount Everest there. There's a continuous progression of peaks. So as you build on, and it's a continuous learning journey as well. The moment you have one success or failure, learn from it, and say what is my next, let's say, benchmark I want to go to. Go there again, learn what is. So one thing I do in my career is I always learn. I mean, the day I feel my learning has stopped in a certain role, I want to move out. The way I plan my career, I want to have learning every day, whatever I'm trying to do. And that can come through new projects, that can come by working with new people, that can come by working on new ideas, that can come from, let's say, watching new podcasts or so watching new videos, or let's say go to LinkedIn Learning, or let's say go to Coursera, learn new things. But the idea is that you should learn always, and the day you stop learning, you'll also stop. And the days are progressing so fast, the tools are progressing so fast that unless you keep learning, you will backdate it, and then you won't be having successful roadmap ahead, right? So that is very critical to being successful tomorrow.
That was really good to know, sir. Coming to the last question of this segment, could you share some latest marketing trends and developments for students to stay updated about the industry? And what advice would you give students aspiring to enter this field?
On the face of it, everybody will say Gen AI probably, right? But I would take a step back from that, and I would build on what I was basically saying a little bit moment earlier. Um, Marketing tomorrow will be a lot of personalization, and when I say that, for example, you and let's say Dhyana are very different, right? And she is very different. I am very different. But let's say all of us maybe have the same kind of product today. But let's say your phones are very personalized to you, right? You personalize yourself for the way you want to experience your phone. So products tomorrow will also need some sort of personalization as much as possible, right? So in a way, I build it in 4 ways. your marketing journey will hinge on how much personalization you can do. And in personalization, there's a like a finite way of doing it. For example, everybody will say go to a segment of one if you can go to, right? Can you actually go there? In some products or some segments or some industries, maybe you can, right? Most of the cases you probably can't, right? So what is the right segmentation you can do? How much fragmentation BCG matrix is, and I'll build from there. So BCG matrix basically says you map out your different segments or markets in, say, how much it is growing, and how much is the size of the industry, and how much is the share in that industry, right? So markets that are, for example, having a large size, but you are having a very less share, then can you actually go and participate there? Second is maybe markets that are like, okay, moderately sized, but it's growing very fast. So go participate there. So that's going to decide how do you participate where, and how do you win that market. Second is that when you actually go in and participate in the market, then you figure out how to best win the market. And that, as I was saying, four things. A, you should know how to best target the audience. And for that, how much personalization can you do? So that may require certain tools. For example, data science can help you understand the audience well. You can also do a lot of market inciting, like go in the market, talk to consumers, do a lot of market inciting, and figure out what works best. Unless as a marketeer, you really understand what the consumers need, you can't position products, or you can't build products for them, right? So as a marketer, the first thing that you need to do is understand consumers, understand the insights of the market, understand the insights of the consumers. Once you break that, you build personalization and products that cater to that need. Second is, once you know whom to target, what kind of products you're bringing into the target them. Second is, how do you actually go and target them? Like, what channel do I go to? What time do I go to them? What frequency do I go to them? So right targeting that in that sense. That's the second bucket. Third is that so you know that whom you're reaching out to, how you're reaching out to them. Third is, um, like for example, what do you say when you reach out to them? Like the messaging part I was saying, right? How do you talk to that person? Is he what age group is he in? What geography is he in? Would you talk to a tier 2 person with let's say a tier 1 person the same way, right? In the city, for example, would you talk to a person who's buying Diwali gifts versus somebody who's doing Christmas gifts the same way, right? So the right messaging for that person. And finally, you bring that all together into a composite package where it's kind of very automated. So you know this whole function, like whom to target, how to target, how to talk to them in a very automated function, so that tomorrow you're innovating very fast on this. Because if you don't innovate very fast on this, somebody else will, and then lose market share on this. So even if you have built an initial advantage on this, you will lose it very quickly. Because in the age of data science and AI, ML, and Gen AI that is coming in, people will be innovating very fast. So agility is very important. So having these tools with you, these mindsets with you, is very important for the career tomorrow.
Whom do you consider as a marketing guru?
That will be probably my current boss, Avnish Khosla, is one of the best CMOs in the country. And he's a very visionary leader. I mean, you can Google him up, or let's say looking him up somewhere. He's a very visionary leader. He's been with the industry for 20 years now. And he's one of the most rewarded and awarded marketers in the country. Been with Vodafone Idea for Vodafone Group, for example, for the last 20 years now. Understands the industry, understands the landscape, he understands the future as well, he understands new age tools as well. So he's completely updated on what happened in the past. He's also very future looking in that sense. And he's also very good people leader. So as a whole, you will need people like him to look up to, and I really look up to him.
One movie that teaches you the best marketing tricks?
Best marketing? 21.
A quote that stands as a marketing mantra to you?
Marketing mantra, I wouldn't really put it that way, but personally what drives me is if there's a will, there's a way.
Sorry. If you could swap jobs with someone for a day, who would it be? Why
Virat
so?
Kohli. I love playing cricket, and I always wanted to be a cricketer as well. So Would love to perform for a day in his shoes and let's say win matches for India. That will be really good.
One thing you miss about your campus life at ISB?
I think networking. Networking is very critical in your business school days. Whatever you've learned, and I would say that a lot of my learning would be out of the classroom. Being in the cohort of very talented people who bring diverse ideas with them. So not only that I learned from those diverse ideas when I was in school, but even when you're outside the business school and you're in your careers, the more you network with people, the more you stay connected with people, the more you will progressively grow in a career.
I rightly agree with you, sir. Coming to the last question, a brand or company that you admire for their marketing strategies.
So there are multiple actually. I can't think about just one as a marketer. Just can't think about one. But yes, I'll probably put a Coca-Cola. And the reason why is that it's very difficult to sell a soft drink. So how do you sell a soft drink? Because it's just it's a can of sugary drink, right? How do you sell that? And the way they have always positioned it is that they've associated certain value with that drink. They haven't. There's also what is called peripheral marketing. You don't sell the product directly. You sell a value with it. So Coca-Cola has been associated in different times with different things. For example, happiness, with sharing, with enthusiasm, with celebration. So when you associate a certain value with that product, you're not selling that product directly, but selling a value with it. And when I think about that value in myself, I'll think about that product. So that is in a way a marketer's job to do.
That was a swift round. Let us now move on to the next set of questions that are on the minds of our curious listeners. I will be asking you some frequently asked questions under our next segment, CIC Wants to Know.
So these are like rapid questions or like
How do you define success in the corporate
success is
world today?
evolving. Even if I look at my own career journey, a few years ago, maybe I would envision myself to be going to become like a very senior leader of sorts, like a CMO or a CEO of sorts. And then my goal was to like not only become a leader, but create something that challenges the industry or creates new things in the industry, or let's say creates products that revolutionize things or takes India global, right? That was one of my dreams, for example, or let's say goals of, or what I would call success in my role, right?
Okay, sir. The next question, how would you explain your job to a child in a way they would understand?
Like my current job, I essentially assist the company to grow and create new things that will create a long-term advantage. For example, if you are in school today and you're learning certain subjects, unless you build the right foundation for it today, you won't be able to appreciate what's coming tomorrow. So part of my job today, part of my company's role today is to like not only understand and deliver what is going on today very good, very well. I mean, earn good marks today, but also have a vision for tomorrow, so that whatever I'm learning today, I can learn it well and apply it for my future subjects tomorrow.
The next question, how do you mentor and inspire the next generation of leaders within your organization?
That's a very good question to ask. And I would really urge everybody, the young generation here, to really think about this, because a lot of times we chase individual goals and successes, right? And when you do that, you may often step over others while doing so. And especially in college and academic careers, you will see that you are trying to always be the first in your class or something. Then you're always chasing success in that way. But in the corporate world, I believe you have to take people along, right? If you, for example, do well, I should be clapping for you. And if I do well someday, maybe my colleagues will clap for me. But take people along. You shouldn't be like stepping on others while chasing your own successes, right? Especially when you have to become, let's say, successful tomorrow in a corporate careers, you can't be successful alone. Let's say, for example, you are earning a promotion. You can't earn a promotion without having the next generation of leaders being there to succeed you. Unless there's somebody to succeed you, you won't be able to go to the next level of your career, right? So you always have to build your careers and your teams and your roles in a way that people around you can replace you tomorrow. So you should be actually like unlike what people think that it should be replaceable in the it should not be replaceable in the organization. You should create differentiation. It actually should be the opposite. You should be building it in a way that you're easily replaceable. I mean, you should have some differential skills with you, obviously, yes. But tomorrow, somebody should be able to come and replace you. And if you have done that well, then you're a good leader. Because then you have created a pipeline of people who can actually lead the company tomorrow. You'll always not be there in the same role or in the same company always, right? So having somebody that you can learn from, for example, I gave my boss's example. So having that right example in front of me, where I learned the right techniques for, let's say, leading the business or leading the people in the right way. So having that mentor in my growth journey is very important. And for example, people behind me also, I being the right mentor and giving them the right pathway to progress is also very important.
How do you align your personal goals and the culture with the organization of the company?
So my personal goals, as I would say, is, and I probably iterated earlier that is to be responsible and ethical in the way I conduct my business, right? And in a way, while I chase milestones and success for my company, it also should be in a way that is like doable over the long term, right? And personally, I come with a lot of creative ideas. I come with a lot of new innovative thought processes. So I prefer to work in a culture, a company that appreciates creative thinking, it appreciates innovation, it appreciates independent thought and leadership in the direction, or it empowers you to think and empowers you to deliver also, right? So there are companies that I worked with, and I won't name them, but they think more like top down. Okay, somebody else will decide for you what you need to do, and you just go and execute. But in that way, what is then my creativity or my learnings or how will I then implement my learnings, or how will I basically grow in my own role? Because every time I'm just executing somebody else's ideas, and that way I can decide what I wanted to do will work in the market or not. Especially in business, it's not very theoretical, right? As I said earlier also, you have to bring in some ideas, see if it works in the market or not, and if it works in the market, build on that, right? So if you're working on somebody else's ideas, you will never be able to cultivate your own ideas of progress in that way, right? So I would always want to work in companies that where I can express myself, bring in my ideas, implement them, and let's say have somebody who's giving me that freedom to go and implement them, experiment my ideas, and there are these short, let's say, boundaries in which I can experiment them, so that I don't break something, and it gives some sort of creative freedom and creative liberties to go and experiment my ideas. And when I have a company culture that allows you to experiment in that way, you will create leaders that know how to do business well. And those are the kind of places I want to work in. Those are the kind of cultures I would like to work in.
The last question of this segment: how do you balance staying connected with your colleagues while also enjoying your alone time?
Well, I'm always connected with my colleagues, mostly at work. But yeah, I think the more important question is that while you're connected with your immediate colleagues at work, it's about how you stay connected with your past colleagues or friends outside work. And as I just mentioned about my ISB ecosystem, so yeah, it's a little bit tricky in a sense that with our current kind of working lifestyle, it's very difficult to find time. Usually in our weekdays, to find time to network or connect. But in the weekends, once in a while, you should absolutely make time to meet your old friends. Especially and as an ISB alum, what I do is there's ISB events every now and then. Just like I'm doing here, ISB has resumes, workshops for incoming students. It has mock interviews for incoming students. I also interview incoming ISB classes. I also connect with alumni meets every time that happen in the city. Besides that, also we have our WhatsApp groups in which I stay connected with my alum groups, and we have emails always being exchanged. And I also call a lot of my alumni friends home whenever I can, right? So in a way, those are the ways small ways I try to keep connected. Or is it enough? Probably not. I would love to do much more. But trying the best within the current ambit of, let's say, the time that I have to do it in the best way possible.
That was really interesting, sir. I have a question for you. How often do you use emojis? So then you're in for a treat with our next round. We all know emojis can make our messages so much more live. We have a set of emojis, and I'll be asking you questions. You describe them accordingly. This is the happy emoji. Then we have the no comments emoji. This is the shocked emoji, the face palm emoji, and the angry emoji.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Over. Let's infuse some creativity in our conversation through the emoji round. Your reaction when a campaign goes viral? Happy. Your reaction when a project exceeds its budget?
Exceeds his budget.
Face palm. Your reaction if there was a last minute change in your biggest campaign? Shocked. Your reaction when a client loves your creative idea? Happy. Your reaction when a deadline gets moved up unexpectedly? Your reaction when you're asked about a confidential project that you cannot discuss?
Actually, there's not a good emoji for that.
Your reaction when you find out your competitor just launched a nearly identical campaign?
Actually, not very. I mean, I'll probably say this. Reason why I say that is then uh, that means, I mean, nothing is like in telecom world especially, everything is copyable. But it means that if somebody else is copying your idea, then it's a good idea.
That was fantastic, sir. I hope you enjoyed this segment as much as we did. The emojis certainly added a playful touch to our conversation. Now it's time to move into the final segment of our podcast, Beyond the Boardroom. In this round, we want to explore more about your life, the individual behind the professional persona. What's your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Your favorite movie or TV show genre?
Uh, TV shows I don't quite watch, but yeah, I catch up on web series whenever I can, and I like thrillers.
Thrillers. What's a hobby or skill you've picked up recently?
Recently, I mean, I have a lot of hobbies. I sing, I play cricket, I do photography, I do cooking, I do a lot of long distance driving. But yeah, among all of these, if it's the latest, it's also like few years in back, but it's photography. I'm a wildlife photographer and fashion photographer.
That's great, sir.
Yeah.
Who is your role model?
Sachin Tendulkar,
If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
Switzerland.
Why so?
I like serene, calm environments, or let's say spaces I can just soothe my nerves and be calm about.
If you would have one superpower, what would it be?
Superpower, um, going underwater.
Lastly, who is your favorite team in cricket since you were a general manager at Rajasthan Royals?
Favorite team in cricket? Honestly, it wasn't Rajasthan Royals till the time I joined. It used to be Mumbai Indians till Sachin was there. Uh, Actually, I don't have a favorite team in IPL as of now. I mainly follow players, as you would say. But Jaiswal is somebody I really like these days. So in that say he's in Rajasthan Royals, so I like him that way. So that team probably yes. But as I said, I don't have a fan of any particular team in IPL yet.
Okay, so we've been asking you questions, and now we would like to hear from you. We would like you to ask our audience a thought provoking question which they can answer in the comments of a social media platform. Over to you, sir.
Today, like how would you choose a career today? Where would you want to go to? Like, would you want to go to an established firm, a startup? Would you want to, do like something of your own, like create content? Or so how are you thinking about your careers today? Like, are you thinking long term? Are you thinking short term? How are you thinking about it?
That's a great question, sir. With this, we come to an end of today's podcast episode. Thank you for your quick responses and the valuable insights that you have shared about the telecom industry and the marketing domain. I'm confident that our viewers have greatly benefited from the knowledge that you have shared. We greatly appreciate your time, and it was a delightful experience to host you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.